What's up YouTube, how you doing? This is Mr. Tybox123 and in this video we're going to be doing some gaming performance testing with spec-ops, the line on this, the Retina MacBook Pro. So here we are guys, I've got spec-ops, the line installed here on the Retina MacBook Pro. Just to let you know, this is the baseline model with just 8GB of RAM and a 2.3 GHz quad-core i7 processor. But let's get into this and check out what kind of frames per second we can get doing some various different settings with this particular game. So up here in the top left hand corner you can see the frame rates per second running with fraps. Obviously that does lower the frame rate just by a couple of frames per second, so bear that in mind. Now let's get in and check out some of the options that we've got with the graphics. So first of all we'll start off with the lowest quality possible. So we've got very low here, set it at 720p, very low, full screen yes, VSync off, ambient occlusion off, and that's that. So let's go back and see what kind of frames per second that gives us when we start playing. At the moment we've got a figure up there of 96. So let's get into this. I've already started the game off, so hopefully we won't have to run through too much of the junky intros. You can hear the fans kicked in here on the Retina MacBook Pro, albeit a little bit quieter as you might expect due to those misplaced blades. And here we go. Let's just turn the volume up just a tiny little bit. So here we go guys. So you can see it's about 90 to 100 frames per second. Very responsive with these particular settings. Let's blow that guy up. Now as you guys know, I don't play games at all, so bear in mind that I am going to be completely shocking at this. Let's turn that down. But this is just really to see what kind of frame rate we get. Obviously it doesn't matter how good I am as to what kind of frame rate we're going to get. But there you go, I'm dead. So that's sat somewhere around the 90 to 100 mark there. Now let's actually change that up and put some higher settings in there to see how the MacBook Pro copes with it. So let's go options, graphics. Unfortunately this doesn't let you change the resolution unless you go right out of the actual game you're playing and set it at the front menu screen. So let's go back to their options, graphics. Now let's bump up the resolution to something quite a bit higher. Let's go for, say, let's go 1920 by 1200 and let's bump up. In fact, let's leave them on very low just to see what we actually get just with the resolution bump. And then we'll change some of the actual performance settings slightly after. So let's go back to the campaign again, resume. Let's just wait for this to finish, skip through that. So now with that higher resolution, I think it was at the 1080p, we're getting 40 to 50 frames per second. Let's just shoot a bit, see if it changes. Sticking around the 40 to 50 frames per second point when we're running around, about 40 to 50 frames per second all the way through it, and seems to be very playable, decent frame rate, nice and responsive. So let's come back out of that and let's bump it up to the full resolution, which is the 2880 by 1800. Let's just go into the graphics. So let's bump this all the way up. There you go, 2880 by 1800. I'll leave it on low settings for now and then we'll change that slightly afterwards. So that now is the full 2880 by 1800, and you can see in fact that the frames per second text there in the top left hand corner is extremely tiny. But let's give it a go anyway. Campaign, resume game. Wait for that to load. Extremely good vivid colours on the screen of the Retina MacBook Pro. I'm going to be comparing it to the previous MacBook Pro so you can see the kind of vividness of the colours, but they are fantastic. here we are again. So now on that ridiculous resolution, the frame rate has gone down to 25 frames per second without moving. So let's just shoot. It does go down a little bit further when you do that. Run around. You can see now it's a little bit more stuttery than it was before, but we're still around that 25 frames per second, gone down to about 20 when we're moving around a lot, up to 25. So somewhere between sort of 20 and 25 frames per second on that particular ridiculous resolution setting. So let's come back out of it again and let's put it back on a medium setting, something like the 1080p that you might expect to use, and then just bump up the settings to medium or maximum. Options, here we go. Let's change that resolution back down. Let's do 1920 by 1080, and this time we'll turn the texture level up to high. In fact, we'll go to the overall quality and just put that on medium first of all, and then we'll try it on high after. And here we go, campaign, resume again. That's just loading up now. Now we're up to about 40 frames per second this time round. So this is on the 1080p with the medium settings. And everything looks a lot nicer as well than with those basic settings. Now we've got it on medium. So let's just run around a bit. So it's about 35 frames per second, up to 40 frames per second now. And it seems very responsive, seems to play quite nicely, nice free movement. But that's about 40-45 frames per second on that one. Let's come out of that, and now we'll just put it on the ultra high settings and see how that affects it as well, just as a final test. Let's go into the options, graphics, and let's put the overall quality up to very high. That's the highest it goes. Let's come back out of that. Oh, don't want to quit. Let's go back to the campaign. Wait for that to load again. I'm not sure how heavy this particular game is on the graphics card, so you guys need to let me know if this is a decent game to test or not, if it's fairly heavy on the processor and the graphics of the machine. So that's sitting around the 40 mark again. Let's just shoot these. Let's just run around a bit. So about 35 frames per second, 35 to 40 frames per second on the 1080p with the everything set to ultra high in the quality settings. But anyway guys, there you go. Thought I'd just bring you that quick test. I'm going to be doing another one on another game, probably Diablo 3 and Crisis 2, just to give you an idea of those. But this just gives us some idea as to what kind of performance we're going to get with these games. Let me know what you think. I'm not a gamer, so definitely let me know whether or not this is good or bad, or how this compares to some of the other machines that are available at the moment. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Please do hit that like button, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya.